Korean officials have seized a Hong Kong-registered ship accused of transferring oil to a North Korean vessel in October. Such a move would be in violation of United Nations sanctions. Word of the seizure came to light after US President Donald Trump took to Twitter saying caught red-handed, accusing China of letting oil flow to the rogue nation. The family of a grandmother who fell down an escalator at an airport in Portland and later died is suing a US airline. The woman was left alone by a gate-to-gate assistance worker at the time of the accident.
This is the horrifying moment 74-year-old Bernice Kekona fell 21 steps down a moving escalator, her wheelchair landing on top of her. The grandmother was left bedridden and part of her leg was amputated. Mrs. Kekona died 3 months later. She never recovered from her injuries.
It could be somebody else's grandma, mom, sister that this could happen to. It was just neglect.
Her heartbroken family is now suing Air Alaska. They say a contractor was supposed to escort the disabled widow. Instead, she was alone and confused.
After being seated in her wheelchair, they walked away and Bernice became confused. She pulls up to the escalator thinking that she's getting on the elevator at that point.
The airline has released a statement saying they're heartbroken by the tragic and disturbing incident and that it appears Ms. Kekona declined ongoing assistance in the terminal and decided to proceed on her own to her connecting flight.
It's not going to bring her back, obviously, but someone needs to own up. Someone needs to take responsibility.
Air Alaska is now reviewing the facts of the case. In the United States, Ebony Cavallaro, NBN News.
Adolf Hitler described it as a terrible weapon in the hands of an expert. Now the power of propaganda is going on show. A new exhibition in Canberra is exploring its dark yet fascinating history of manipulating the public in times of war.
Deep within the Australian War Memorial, a powerful weapon of war is on display.
I think when people think of weapons of war, they think of bombs and tanks and guns, but there were other weapons that were just as significant in many ways, and these were words and posters and films.
Propaganda has been used for centuries to make people think and act in certain ways. During the First and Second World Wars, grainy films were used to demonise the enemy or make them look foolish and urge people to dig deep for the war effort.
Run that cash.
These posters are snapshots of history, Japanese and German monsters. There's even propaganda for children. General Kitchener and Uncle Sam urging you to join the fight.
The now famous Keep Calm and Carry On poster was one of 4 designed at the start of World War II to boost morale in Britain ahead of a potential Nazi invasion or attack. But despite its current popularity, the campaign was never fully rolled out.
They released 2 of the series at the outbreak of the war, and they fell really flat. People felt that they were fairly insipid and patronising.
Nearly all the copies were destroyed. Now it's been reproduced en masse.
It just shows how 70 years on, the Second World War posters still capture our attention and in some ways also shape our national memories of wartime.
The Hearts and Minds exhibition runs until April. Kerry Yaxley, NBN News.
A Beatle and a Bee Gee are being honoured with knighthood. Richard Starkey, known as Ringo Starr, along with Barry Gibb, have made it onto the Queen's New Year's Honours List released today. It comes 20 years after fellow Beatle Paul McCartney was knighted. Hundreds of Australians will be able to afford life-saving drugs in just a few days' time. 3 medications, including a groundbreaking cancer-fighting drug, have been added to the PBS, slashing their price by thousands of dollars.
When Ken Edelstein was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma, doctors gave him just weeks to live. That was more than a decade ago.
I was feeling very poorly. No energy, could hardly walk.
After a series of different treatments last February, Ken was prescribed Cafilzamib, or Kyprolis as it's more commonly known.
There was a dramatic response to it.
In his 70s, Ken is one of thousands of Australians who will benefit when the drug is added to the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme on January 1.
Myeloma is a cancer of the blood plasma and the bone marrow. It affects the immune system, it affects the bones, causes bone breakages, causes kidney failure, and at the moment there is no cure.
3 new drugs will be added to the PBS at a cost of more than $300. Cafilzimib, alectinib, which is prescribed for lung cancer patients, and mannitol for those with cystic fibrosis. The subsidised medications will immediately affect around 1,130 people when they're added on Monday.
So many of these life-saving and life-changing drugs are simply beyond the reach of virtually every Australian. That's where the government steps in.
This process has been going on for about 18 months with this particular drug. You know, it is very pleasing to come to the end of that.
Instead of $138,000, multiple myeloma patients will be charged $39.50 a script, while concession holders will pay just $6.40.
But there are always new drugs being considered, and our commitment is to list every drug which the medical authorities recommend for listing.
Having now been on the cancer drug for nearly a year, Ken has finally received some good news.
Just a few days ago, I was told that it was no longer detectable and that I was in complete remission.
Sydney's most in-demand suburbs have been revealed, and there's a clear favourite. Buyers are flocking to the southwest, where the dream of an affordable home on a quarter-acre block is still a reality.
Welcome to Camden, the clickbait capital for 2017. The semi-rural suburb was the most searched for by house hunters looking outside the inner city. With a median house price of a touch over $750,000, it attracted the highest number of average visits this year.
I think what's surprising is that a lot of the most popular suburbs are still very affordable, and a lot of them are well under $1 million, which is quite hard to find in Sydney at the moment.
So what are the top 5 property hotspots? According to realestate.com.au, an average of 2,229 pairs of eyes have skimmed over the homes on offer at Camden. Oatley is next with 2,191. Concord and Emu Plains are not far behind, and the 5th spot is rounded out by Camden South with an average of 1,585 views per property.
It comes down to size. 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, very common, and larger land areas.
And this home in Camden is a perfect example as to why this suburb is proving so popular with potential buyers. Renovated 3-bedroom home on a quarter-acre block with an asking price of $890.
Further cementing the area's desirability, the neighbouring suburb of Bringelly more than doubled its median house price in the past year. Growth attributed to developers cashing in on the impending airport at Badgerys Creek. Early Walsh, NBN News.
Roadside assistance was needed on the Pacific Highway in Sydney this morning, but for a very special reason. In the car, a father, a mother in labour and a baby that just couldn't wait.
The side of the Pacific Highway was not in Alexandra Volk's birth plan. Her husband Leon forced to pull over their car at North Sydney shortly after 6:30 this morning with a 39-year-old in the late stage of labour.
On the Anzac Bridge, I just didn't think, I knew we weren't going to make it.
The car spotted by some eagle-eyed police officers who stopped to help before paramedics were able to get there.
There was a couple of officers assisting Mum inside the vehicle. One of those officers assisted Dad in delivering the child and did a wonderful job.
Alexandra's contractions had come on fast at 5:30 this morning, the couple making a beeline from their Lilyfield home to Royal North Shore Hospital. But her waters broke on the Anzac Bridge. A newborn baby boy safely delivered at 6:47 a.m. in the front seat of the car. The midwife's name on the birth certificate reads Dad.
Really, the baby was doing all the work, I think. So, as long as I was there to catch him on the way out.
I think he was pretty chuffed with that. He was a really excited dad. My partner got him to cut the cord.
A beaming Leon cradling his new son, who was given the all clear by paramedics. The couple have yet to come up with a name for their new arrival. Pacific Highway doesn't have quite the right ring to it, but they may find inspiration from the nearest cross street.
Arthur was on a short list, perhaps, and it was close to Arthur Street, so maybe the signal that point in that direction.
The baby is the couple's second child, a little brother for 3-year-old Harriet. Paramedics checked in with the family at Royal North Shore Hospital this afternoon to see Mum, Bub and Dad the midwife are all doing well. Laura Tunstall, NBN News.
Lovely. Over to sport now with Samuel Djodan. And Sam, the Boxing Day test was a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah, it was, Kate, but the Aussies were certainly happy about that. Coming up after the break, Australia celebrates an unbeaten run in the Ashes series.
Stock Take sale is on now. Take 30 to 40% off selected women's and men's clothing and footwear by Basque, Piper, Reserve, Black, Windsor Smith, Sandler and more. Exclusions and conditions apply. Hurry, offer ends Sunday. Visit Maya today.
Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance super deals. Do not miss out. The ultra-stylish Brosnan fabric sofa with shades. Super deal just $9.99. That's sensational value. Plus a super 5 years interest-free store-wide. Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance super deals on now.